Sister Silverine, once again, it's a pleasure being here with you, having these discussions concerning people's lives, and people who are going through specifically parental alienation. And based on a previous episode where we were discussing, let's say, sometimes it is justified when a parent alienates another parent. And specifically, you were saying that, for example, if one of the parents is abusive, that they are physically or mentally or even spiritually abusive to the other person in the relationship, to the children, for example, they will keep that child or the children away, or even take out a restraining order against the other parent as a protective measure. And we were saying, well, before it gets to that point, you can seek advice, you can seek help. And I wanted to go through some of the avenues for advice, for help, where they can go, where they should not go. And of course, there's the Parental Alienation Awareness International Network that seeks to highlight the issue and bring it forward so that people can understand the issue at large. Now, specifically, where should one not go when one is going through a difficult relationship? For help, where should one not go?
Where should one not go?
Yeah.
In my understanding, one should not go into places that could make your situation worse. For example, women in general likes to gossip. And if you gossip with one woman, be sure that that gossip goes further. Because human beings have a good, personality, a good habit or nature, where they tell you, I'm going to tell you something about someone, but don't tell anybody she told me that. But don't tell anybody that I told you that, because she told me don't tell anybody. And you told us a third person. And you tell that third person, well, don't tell anybody else. But that third person cannot keep it to herself also. So what she does? She also goes and tell a fourth person. And tell that fourth person, well, don't tell anybody else. Now that fourth person cannot keep it to herself. So what she does? She also go and tell a fifth person. But the individual who is also suffering may tell a second person, a third person. And tell that third person, well, don't tell anybody else. Because you don't want anybody else to know. But here you have already told at least 1 or 2 people, 3 people, who cannot keep that secret to themselves. So what you're doing? You have put your situation on the road, which means now everyone knows your situation. But all the people you have spoken to or you have told your problem, they cannot help you. Ordinary people who also have some sort of different issues will not be able to help another person, because they're also going through their own situations on a different level. Because everyone have different issues. Everyone has some kind of problem. It's difficult to say that my house is total peace, total calm, total harmony. We are totally happy. No house is like that today. Everyone have their different issues. It could be financial, it could be relationship-wise. There are so many reasons. So, here you have already exposed yourself to the public and no one is willing to help. No one cannot help you. So what have you done? Now, if that reach back to your spouse, that news come back to your spouse that you have told others that this is how my husband is, what do you expect your husband to do? What outcome do you expect from him? He will get more aggressive. He'll get more angry, more violent. So what have you done to yourself? So the worst thing is speaking to individuals who cannot help you. No. I am sure in our communities there are persons, there are people who you could go to, you could tell or confide in to tell your problems and get some sound advice. In some countries, I think in Trinidad you have a ministry of gender abuse or something like that, that helps women in general, and battered women. Very close to where here is, so in Urupuch, there is a house that is especially for women who went through or who's going through violent situations and battered women and so on, so they house them. So there are, the government is working on that basis to protect and to help women generally. So you can go to these places. Even if you feel, okay, it is biased, it's only for women, at least for you, for women, you're sure you can get help. Men would have their places to go also, they knows. But men have that, what you call that, sanskar, that nature of suppressing their feelings. They don't seek advice very fast. They don't seek help very fast. Because, I'm not sure if you want to call it ego, but they think that they know it all. They can do anything. They have the power. They could correct themselves, or they think that whatever they do is right. Men always think that whatever they do is right, even if they are violent. They think it's right for them. They have a right to hit their wife. They think so. Because they think that their wife is their property. And because of this possessive feeling, they think they can do their wife whatever they want. So they don't want help. They do not seek help, that kind of help. They quickly take things in their own hands. Or they like to take things in their own hands. So we can seek help from religious leaders who we can confide in. Sometimes some people go to the church and they what do you call that? They speak out. They tell to the father, they go and confess, They confess their sins because everyone knows that they are wrong in some ways, So whatever is your own personal problem, you go and you confess it against or to the pastor of the church or whoever. But whoever you feel comfortable to talk to, I think you should take that step and go and speak it out. Get it out from inside of you, because the more you keep it inside, the more you are going to suffer. And the more you are suffering, and not only you are suffering, those who you are connected to are also suffering. So, seek help. Parental Alienation Awareness organization is there to help anyone who wish to get help. If you're seeking help, I guess you can contact them. They have their Facebook page and they have their web page, and they have some phone numbers and so on the Facebook page that you could call and you can talk to someone. And specifically, Mr. Sanjeev Prasad is the representative of Parental Alienation Awareness here in Trinidad and the Caribbean. And I'm sure you are free to contact him whenever you want.
Now that's on a personal level, let's say, about getting the issue outside, about expressing yourself. But what about when a person is further along down the line of these feelings that come up? So they have passed the point of simply speaking about it and getting it out. So both men and women who have repressed, who have hidden these things from society for whatever reason. Sometimes I believe it might be because of social shame, or like the men, for example, it's a issue of ego. Where do you think Or when do you think a person should seek real life changing help?
Where I think if all those other places, so if you don't want to go to those other places, or if you did not get help, I think then you should seek legal help. Legal help means either you go to the police, make the report, and then if there is need for the court, you have to take steps. You know, do not sit down with the problem and do not mind the problem, as we say, which means you make it get bigger and bigger daily. But do something about it. Get up, seek help, whether it's legal help, professional help, if there is, but do something. And I think you should, we have the police, I think they are now beginning to take more steps into protecting women in general. I think everybody needs to be protected. But yes, they're taking more, paying more attention actually into protecting women. So this is an advantage. After so many violence against women has taken place in the past and is still being taken place, still happening. I think this year already someone or two persons.
I think recently there were a few cases of women being murdered.
Murdered, yeah.
But why do you think men, I think you gave a little bit of a hint, but why do you think men get to that point where they feel that they must murder or kill the wife or girlfriend and then take their own life?
Actually, not even wife and girlfriend, you know, because you hear this person who doesn't even know someone else and they murdered a girl. Sometimes it could be connected. Connected means like, I don't want to be specific, but because, you know, someone is doing something, let's say against your own wish or desire, or you don't like what that one is doing, so you think that you have the authority to just get that one out of your way. That's how they think, you know. That one is doing that, we have to get her out of our way. This is how a criminal mind thinks. So criminal mind means that that mind is never thinking right. And that means that that individual is suffering. That individual is suffering badly for whatever reason. And many times crime are connected. Connected crimes mean that an individual may be in the way of someone else. If there is a love triangle, for example, someone is in his way. So he tried to knock off that one because this one is in his way. And what they say is either you have her or nobody have her. It's either I have her or nobody have her. So what they do? They try to knock off the one in the middle. And where they end up, that's the thing. They not only destroy another life, they also destroy their own lives. So it goes so far. It goes very far. So our point is that, okay, we have to seek help. How the criminal reaches that point where he feels that he could take someone's life is that there are people today lack compassion. And this society that we live in is not a society that was brought up in values, which means that we were never taught that to kill is bad. We are never taught in schools that you should not perform such criminal, heinous crimes. These values are not being, let's say, projected or taught in our institutions. That's the reason why children, even though they come from violent home, they did not learn something different in the school. Our schools are not teaching such beautiful values and compassion and care and kindness and generosity and non-violence. Which school teaches you non-violence? So there is a lot of lack of, let's say, call it the correct education. All we are being taught is academic studies, how to earn a living. But we are not being taught on how to live in society. And because we are not taught that, we do not even know how to teach our own children and project these beautiful values in them, so that they come out to be, let's call it, beautiful individuals in society with values, with good morals, with good conducts, with good discipline. So it comes from very far. Parents learning to take care or guiding their children in the right way. So how did we reach this point where so many people are in criminal activities? It came from parents. And then parents will say, well, I don't know how he come out so. The mother is not like that, the father is not like that. Okay, the mother is not like that, the father is not like that. So did you teach your child not to be like that? How many mothers and fathers sit with their young children and really guide them, really educate them in such, let us call it, in such a level where they can understand that to even shout is bad. To even speak against someone is bad. To criticize others is bad, it's not good. Much less to perform criminal activities. I remember one very good story. So this is a small story where this young little boy, he started to steal little things from home. The mother never tell him anything because that is my son. So he could steal from the home, fine. But then he started to steal from the neighbor, little things. Mother never said anything, but the mother knew. Mother knew that her son was stealing, but she never corrected him because she loved him so much. The love was so much that she just allowed him to do whatever he wants. Now mind you, that is not love. Because if you really love your child, you would teach that child to do what is right. Where there is only attachment, you would say, let him do what he wants now. That is my son. That's attachment, that's not love. Where there is love, there will be discipline. Where there is love, there will be education. I want my child to be like this. Educated, beautiful individual. How are you teaching your children? So, this little boy started to steal from other neighbors also. Neighbors would complain to the mother. The mother will not do anything about it. That's my son, let him do whatever he wants. Until he became a bigger thief. As he grew old, he became a bigger thief and a bigger thief. And when the police caught him, he went to the jail. The officers asked him if he wanted to tell his mother anything. And he said, yes. I want to tell my mother something. But I want to tell her in her ears. And when his mother came close, he bit her ears. And he told her, you did not stop me from stealing when I was stealing. That's a lesson for parents. Because many parents, I think all parents know their children very well. Parents will know their children the best. Parents know that your child hit someone else, and what did you do? You did nothing about it. You say, okay, I will go and talk to that one's parent. There's a children, they will hit each other, but they will make up again. But then because you allow your child to be violent from small, little by little, he grew up being more and more violent. Until he reached his teens, and then you cannot control him anymore. So, where did the teaching begin? Where did the change, where did that point where you had to cut that violent nature of your young child? Where was that point? When was that point? So that he do not continue with that trend. So because parents know their children the most, they are the ones who to be blamed when their child came out to be a criminal. You know, in our news today, newspapers nowadays, and you see so many criminal elements, and the people, when they are replying or responding to these criminals and criminal elements, they all say, well, the parents say my child is a good child. My son is a good boy. He never do anything wrong. He suddenly become a criminal? No. No criminal is sudden. No. You had to be trained or learn to be that from a young age. You cannot suddenly be a murderer. No. Unless something happened by mistake. But you do not have a history of violence. You do not have a history of criminal activities. If something was by mistake, okay, this is a mistake, but that doesn't mean to say you're a criminal. But there are many of those criminals who have criminal history. If you follow them, they have a criminal history. That means they have started from a very young age. And there wasn't anyone present to correct those individuals. So they came out to be criminals. Who is responsible? Not society. Parents. Your parents are your first teachers. Not even the school. So where does it all begin? So now I invite you to a small reflection. And let us reflect personally on our personal situations. See where we are. How did we reach this point? And how can we come out of our own pain, our own sufferings? And whilst I think, whilst I reflect, I begin to recognize myself. I begin to realize that my thoughts, my intentions, my motives may not be the purest ones. But I have to take responsibility for whatever act I perform under violence. If I did perform any criminal activity, I become aware that it was wrong. I did it, but at this point I could stop it. By being aware of my activities being not the right one, let me also be aware that I am the one to change it. I can correct myself from now, and I can become a better individual. It all depends on me. It all depends on my aim, my objective. It all depends on how I see myself in the future. And generally, no one wants to be a criminal. If my intentions is towards that aim or that objective, I have to understand the consequences also. And once I understand the consequences, I realize that that is not what I want. And so from now, from this present moment, I have the power to take that decision to turn my life around, to change my life in such a way that I can become an example in society. Thank you.
Sampex Limited, networking societies for a better future.